Hey YouTube, it's Sabrina. I'm coming to you with the review for Blindspot, Season 2, Episode 1. So we come back where we left off. Jane is passed out, and it's showing us now that she's getting the tattoos. So where we left off, she was, the CIA agent had actually kidnapped her and was basically torturing her, waterboarding her and stuff like that, and trying to get information out of her, trying to get her to tell him what she remembers. She, of course, doesn't remember anything, okay? So, so the guy who she's been seeing in her dreams comes in, pop out, and he shoots the CIA agent, which is Carter. And then he shows her the video of herself telling herself, you did this to yourself, this is all the plan, and are you scared, etc., etc. Okay, so so Patterson comes back to work, and she needs to get back to work because she doesn't want to have to think about Daniel and all the stuff that happened in terms of him passing away because of the tattoos or whatever. So she actually has found a clue on the tattoos. And, you know, in the process, we see Jane talking to the therapist, and she's having flashes of herself on the phone talking to her, and you can tell she's thinking, and the therapist is kind of like, well, Jane, what's going on? Because, you know, you can see what somebody's thinking or whatever. So she's thinking and having those flashes, and she was like, oh, no, nothing. Everybody throughout the episode is noticing that she's kind of weird, and these flashbacks are coming to her on a continual basis. So Patterson has discovered, based on a little number game that her and Daniel used to play, she actually discovered that using pi, that the missing parts were numbers, and then based on some other dots, some arrows and stuff that were in the tattoo was coordinates. So they know it's longitude, latitude in terms of a destination. The destination is the Black Isles. So the Black Isles is like these islands that are somewhere and nobody's really inhabiting them. Used to be miners, but they left back in the 80s, and now pirates have basically taken it over is what they find out when they get to the island. So they, get some type of state clearance to be able to go in and view this island. And when they get there, this attaché from Turkey actually meets them to take them around the island so they can look around. And he's telling them that the miners in the 80s built this hangar that they pull up to, and that the pirates basically come here every now and again when the seas are rough, but they're so inconsistent that the government cannot basically track it, okay? So when they go into the hangar, it's an airplane. All right. So in this airplane, it's nothing. It's in pristine condition, basically like you could, fly it off the runway. So they're like, okay. Then they see the tail, and the tail is the number. Them being FBI agents, they're into stuff that's going on, and they're like, that number, that's the flight that was missing. So it's Pan-Asian Flight 921. Well, back at the office, Fisher, who is with the Office of Professional Responsibility, he comes in and tells Mayfair that he's opening an investigation into the death of Daniel. I think it's Wagner is his last name. Patterson's boyfriend, they got killed, and he's gonna look into it because she was involved, had this civilian involved, basically without permission. Mayfair's like, listen, I told her that it was cool or whatever. He was like, oh, okay, you did. So he was like, well, I'm gonna talk to her. She was like, well, let me talk to her first. And he was like, no, that's not gonna happen. So he goes and talks to Patterson. In the meantime, they're over there surveying the land in Turkey. So get in this plane, and they looking like, well, where are the passengers? What's really up? And come off the plane, and the pirates have now captured them. They got guns in their face, and they're making them come down. So they say, well, who are you? Who are you? You FBI? Because they see the badge or whatever. So then the guy from Turkey was like, no, I'm from Turkey. The little guy that was bringing them. And the man just shot him. Pow. Just shot that man. Okay, so he killed the little attaché guy or whatever, and so they're still asking him, so you FBI? So Weller's like, yes, we're FBI. And he was like, asking him questions, basically, why are you here, and da-da-da-da. And so they took them, tied them up, started hitting them with the cattle prods, the zzz. So they asked Weller, why are you here? And what's going on? He was like, basically not answering any questions. And then so they hit Zapata, which is the lady agent. So they hit Zapata with the cattle prod. Then they asked her question. She wouldn't answer, so they hit Reed with the cattle prod. So then the guy starts talking to the other guy. Of course, they giving us subtitles, and he basically like, I don't think they know what's going on. We still got to go through with it. We got to go ahead and get this done. So you see Reed looking at them. So at that point, I kind of caught that he was kind of understanding what they were saying. So they cut him down. They take him and they walking down this hallway. So Reed is telling them that when they were talking, what they were saying basically, what they basically were saying was that they was part of, I can't remember the little thing he said, but basically it's some people that tried to blow up a building in New York. Okay, so then they take them further down this hallway and put them in this room. They get in this room, and here are the passengers from the flight. So this doctor, who her team was coming from Istanbul from some conference in reference to these microsatellites. So these microsatellites are supposed to be able to launch in terms of, it has something to do with GPS satellites and all that kind of stuff. And basically what they're trying to do is they're going to try to shoot this rocket up in the sky, and they're going to try to disable military GPS, which if the GPS of the military is killed, that's like all convoys that are out, on mission. That's like people that are protecting people, doing missions. They're not going to have any type of GPS location, nothing. So if they were to take over something, they wouldn't have any way to locate them through that. Okay. So the doctor tells them that her husband actually ended up getting killed trying to get this battery so that they can send this Morse code. Okay. So Weller always trying to come up with a plan. He don't play them games. He ain't trying to sit there. So Weller's like, listen, we have to do this. So what they do is sneak out of the room, and they go where the cattle prods are. They're gonna try to get this battery. And so basically they get it. Weller creates a distraction. So the people are coming after him when Reed and the other guy, which was one of the hostages that went with them, when they come back, they got the battery, they put it in a little machine so they can start sending the Morse code. So Jane was about ready to get Buck and go out there and get Weller, but Reed was like, no, he's giving us time, so just go ahead and, it's all right. Okay, so they get the Morse code done, but, right before the people come in. So the people come in and they take them or whatever, and they gone ahead and they're trying to go ahead and get this rocket launched. So they take the doctor and they got all the people outside lined up. They're going to execute these people. Weller them somehow had got out, and they got guns, and they done start shooting. What they did was, it was so cool because Weller was like, 2 on the right, 2 on the left, da-da-da-da, pop. And then they just piled. They shot and killed 4 dudes at the same time. So then the other people started shooting, trying to see where it was coming from, and they just ambushed and came down. Well of them, they're gangster. They are gangster. So, okay, so then so back at the office, and it's flipping back and forth. Like, they're showing us what's going on in the office with Mayfair and Patterson, and they're showing us what's going on in the field with Zapata, Weller, Jane, and Reed. So, back at the office, the dude is talking to Patterson, and she is at he was twisting her words up when he was interviewing her. And then at some point, she admitted that Mayfair did not know that she was working with her boyfriend in reference to any cases. So he was like, oh, okay, she didn't know. So, all right, got her. Basically, you see, and you can see that this particular person, Fisher, you can see that, he's arrogant. He got a little attitude. He real snippy. So you can tell he got an agenda. And what I also found funny, which did not come out to play in this episode, but I kind of feel like he being a continuous character in the show, is gonna have something. I don't know. It was just weird that they were in Turkey investigating this thing in reference to this thing from Jane's body, and he was drinking Turkish coffee when he was talking to Patterson when he was interviewing her. But I might just be a suspicious mind, but that's just my thought on it. Okay, so then he goes back to the office and he tells Mayfair, he was like, I'm suspending Agent Patterson indefinitely. And she was like, you can't do that. He was like, well, if you got a problem with it, you know, take it up with the director. And she's suspended. And she was like, I knew she was working with him. And he was like, oh, really? Because that's not what she said. So who's lying? You or your agent? So she was like, I see you, basically. She called him out. I see you. She was like, you are never going to be the head of the NYO. I know that you've been around this office campaigning, trying to rally people to get on your side so you can get this position. So you would love for me to be gone in disgrace so you can come in and take my position. He was like shocked that she knew. And she was like, see, that's another reason why you won't get this position, because you didn't even know that. She on top of her game, basically let him know, you ain't got nothing on me. You ain't got nothing on me. Okay, so back on the aisles. The people have now taken the plane, and they were trying to stop the plane from actually taking off, right? So they're shooting at them. Some of the hostages are like, you know, getting in between so they can kind of create a distraction so they can be looking at them and trying to, you know, not seeing Weller them shooting them or whatever. So they was picking people off. Weller them picking people off. So Weller and Jane hop up in the wheel of the plane and get up in the plane, right? So the doctor is in there. The dudes who was there to secure her, they beat them up. Pow, they done, okay? And then, so they can't get into the cockpit because it's sealed. So they're trying to figure out what's it going to do. This plane, once it gets to 60,000 feet in the air, ascended, the rocket's going to go off, and there's nothing that they're going to do at that point to stop it. Okay, so they're trying to figure out. So they were finally like, okay, is the transponder on? And they were like, no, it's off. So they got it turned back on. So what that's going to do is allow that plane to be visibly seen in, you know, in the monitoring system, in the air traffic controlling thing. Okay, so so they do that and turn that back on. So Weller was just about to be like, F it. I'm about to shoot down these fuel. I'm about to shoot the fuel tank, and I'm about to take the plane down. I'm about to just blow it up. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you just kind of got an option. He was like, I'm sorry, Jane, that I brought you into this. Oh, what I didn't say originally is when Oscar rescued Jane, he told her he would tell her who she is if she was able to get the FBI to remove her detail. And she was like, you know, he was like, those aren't your friends. He told her that they were into some bad stuff, and she was like, no, they're good people. They kind of went back and forth about they're good people. And he was like, friends wouldn't imprison you, and they wouldn't, you know, be monitoring you and stuff like that. So he was like, get them to remove your detail. Come meet me at this tower on the roof, and I'll tell you who you are. And then he had left. And she had said to him, you know, basically, you know, I could get the information from you now. He was like, that's not who you are. She was like, you don't know me. And he was like, I know you better than anybody. So, and she told him that she knew who she said, we were engaged. And he was like, you remember that? She was like, yeah, I've had flashes of it. So she let him know that she kind of knew who he was and that she had some sort of memory flash or whatever. Okay. That was a skip back to the beginning. Now, back to where we left off. All right, so, okay, so they're in the plane. They turn the transponder on. He was about to shoot it down. Same time that's happening, okay, so then Fisher went back and told Patterson he had suspended her indefinitely. She was like, I need this job. Everything that I've been going through, I need to work. I got to be able to get these people back who did this, the people who did this to Jane. She, you know, basically the people who did it to Daniel and the people who did it to Jane, because it all had, you know, something to do with each other. Okay, so he was like, she was like, the job is the only thing I have. He was like, it was the only thing you had. Like, he didn't even care. He didn't have no kind of feelings or regards for, this lady done lost her boyfriend who they were living together. They were in a committed relationship as a result of her job. You know, something that she was trying to do. So he didn't have no kind of feelings for that. Okay, well, meanwhile, Mayfair busts into the meeting and was like, Patterson, I need you now. He was like, excuse me, she is suspended. She was like, listen, something is good. Basically, it's popping off, and I need Patterson. And if you got an issue with it, take it up with my boss, basically. Okay, so they take Patterson. As soon as they get into the little room where she do all her computer stuff, Morse code coming. So they was like, she was like, that's Morse code. And Mayfair was like, okay, I know, but what is it saying? So she was like, it's saying, it was what they had sent. Basically, they sent, TAT, SOS. They put PAN21 FOUND, and basically saying that they was in trouble, whatever. So she was like, they were like, PA921, PA921. She was like, Parent Agent 921. So she was like, hold on. So she went to the thing and found on the air traffic control and found the plane. So then she called to the plane, talked to Weller. So this is about the same time Weller's about to bust that fuel tank wide open and blow the whole joint up. So she talking to them, and she was like, okay, they was telling her, you know, she was like, Weller, what the hell is going on? So he told her, you know, about the rocket and all that kind of stuff and what was supposed to be happening. So she was like, I got an idea, but it's a bad idea. And so what she did was turn the engines on the plane off. She had the engines on the plane shut off. When the engines on the plane shut off, the two guys, who of course are in the cockpit running the plane or controlling the plane, they come out. Weller bust them up, bow, now y'all down. So then they get in there. However, the engines won't turn on. So she's taking them through all these steps. Engines ain't turning back on. Weller's like, Patterson. She was like, I told you it was a bad idea. Which I found that was so hot. That made me bust out laughing. But so basically she was like, okay, these kind of planes can glide in. Y'all are technically still in a place where y'all can descend, glide down, and be at the landing strip where y'all started from. And they was like, huh? She was like, you've only gone up. You have not gone that far out. So you're still technically this way over your same spot as opposed to gone in your spot over there. Get what I'm saying? Okay, so that's what she had them do. So this let you know how bad Patterson is. That girl, let me tell you something, she is no joke. So she was like, okay, so when I tell you to, you're gonna pull back on the thing. Don't pull on them now. Don't pull on them now when I tell you to. Okay, so she was like, okay, you got enough? Do they got enough to land? And she was like, hold on. Okay, y'all can land. And she said, I did the math. And Fisher is watching the whole time. He was like, what math? Where? She was like, in my head where math is supposed to be done. Hush. Told his ass to shut up. So, glided, got them landed. Wonderful hero and all that. You know, so they came back down. The whole thing stopped. All right. So, Mayfair was like, that's the reason why we need her here. Basically, the Fisher, you see how she do. So, he had made a little smart comment or whatever. He's gunning for Mayfair. He want that job bad with her saying that. But you could already tell by that way he was talking to Patterson and the way he was all up in Mayfair's face when he was telling her he was investigating her was like real snobby and real, you know, just an asshole basically. So, okay, that's over. They all come back. Everybody done washed up. It was a stressful day. So Weller tells Jane he want to meet her somewhere. And in the midst of him telling her that, he, oh, you know what else I missed? That just came to my mind. I missed that Zapata was going to give her a resignation. This is before they left to the aisle. Zapata was going to give her a resignation, but as soon as she walked in the office, Mayfair told her that the CIA agent Carter, who we know Oscar killed, was missing. His car was open outside of a bridge. She was like, suicide? And they was like, that's what they're trying to make us think. And she was like, okay. And Mayfair was like, what did you need? She was like, I got my question answered. So she balled up her resignation so she didn't have to resign. I was wondering how that was going to work out as far as her resigning because he was blackmailing her. But it worked out because he got killed, which is his good for him. And Zapata was able to keep her job. Don't nobody know. Okay, so now Weller want to meet Jane. Zapata and Reed walked in right when Jane was getting ready to tell him no. So Weller still went to where he asked her to meet him, and he's waiting on her. She didn't show up. She went to the rooftop to meet Oscar. So Oscar tells her, he told her this is all her plan. He told her that she is Taylor Shaw. And she was starting to try to ask him more questions, and he was like, we gotta learn to trust each other again. And there are small and big missions that I'm gonna need you to do periodically before we get there. And if you can do those, then I'm gonna tell you everything. And she was like, I'm not putting the team in danger or hurting them. And he was like, our organization, we're the good guys. And these plans, this is the plan, and this is what it's going to be, so let's get started. And that's where it ended. So that is my Blindspot review, episode 1 of season 2. It is still good. You can catch up on Hulu if you have cable and you have on demand. You can get it on demand. It is a really good show. And I do recommend you catching up and watching it and coming back and catch my review. Please share and like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye.